What's up, guys? This is Crafty coming at you once more with today's discussion from a galaxy far, far away. In today's video, I'll be discussing on the possibility for us to return to a franchise that is very dear to me and was first unleashed to us September of 2008. The Force Unleashed is this franchise, and like me, I hope you'll all agree on why it should see the light of day once more. With Star Wars The Force Unleashed and its sequel, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, both being released quite successfully and a supposed third title on the way and in development alongside Star Wars 1313, fans were becoming eager for an announcement to be made from LucasArts. Sadly, however, this wasn't meant to be, and like Star Wars 1313, after the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm, any supposed production was shut down and never to be heard of again. Or is this still the case? Ever since the shutdown, fans have been asking for Star Wars 1313 to still be made, and it is now rumored to be in the works for a possible reintroduction. Although, this most likely means it won't be quite the same game and will probably have a very different vision than that of the original studio, if this all comes to light. Should this rumor be true, which I seriously hope it is, it gives hope that we may still yet be able to, at the very least, wrap up Starkiller's story arc if Disney is listening to their fans. With Battlefront 2 on the way, hoping to fix the issues that plagued its predecessor at its launch, and more Star Wars titles to follow from different developers, a lot of you might wonder why I, and many others, are hoping for a sequel from this older franchise to be brought to our current generation. Well, for starters, the combat is intense, well designed, and with RPG elements at its core, adding to your sense of becoming more powerful, especially after the Force Unleashed 2 overhauled this system as a whole, making you feel even more like an absolute badass, while wreaking havoc on those bloody Imperials who were unfortunate enough to be at the end of your lightsabers that day. Not to mention the QuickTime events, that although in a lot of games can become very tiresome and cause them to feel repetitive or just plain boring due to consistently pulling you out of the action, are usually executed very well in this franchise, featuring beautiful cinematic quality and are very appropriately timed when they happen, giving you a more immersive boss battle or tough enemy encounter when they do. In the Force Unleashed series, you are at the helm of one of the most powerful Force users ever developed in a video game title, who is torn between light and dark, loyalty and conscience, as well as love and selfishness. In the first title, the writers did a wonderful job showing us the betrayal of the dark side and what it means to be a Sith, but also they gave us a path of redemption for our sins, giving us this final decision of our journey that would ultimately split up the universe on how future events transpired. In the sequel, much of this is the same, and although it is plagued by a shorter campaign and less areas, the writers were still at their best on delivering an experience that left you wondering which decision to go for, and as well leaving a mystery that is still up for debate on who you are at the end. Now, before I go any further, there will be minor spoilers ahead, so if you haven't played these titles and are planning to, you have been warned. So look away now and go play them, then come back here. Or skip ahead a little ways and you'll be good to go. Anyways, for The Force Unleashed 2's ending, we get a massive cliffhanger that, even though isn't canon, is a wonderful story to finish off, given the circumstances we're left at. The ending I'm speaking of is the light side, where you've captured Vader and have left his secret cloning facility on Kamino pretty much in ruin. Starkiller and Vader later exchange words, with Starkiller proclaiming he is now free of Vader, but Vader simply states that as long as Juno lives, he will always own him. Basically, this is Vader stating that by allowing him to live, he will eventually escape and use Starkiller's love against him, destroying everything he stands for, before finally killing him. After this scene, we see the ship blasting to hyperspace, with Boba Fett's Slave One tailing right behind them undetected. With a sequel planned, it was a perfect way for a middle title to finish off, so that a final game to complete the trilogy would have somewhere to start off from after the time in between built up the fans' tension on what was going to happen, as this is still pre A New Hope, with the rebellion still in its starting phases, thanks to the inspirations of Starkiller from the first game and his unbent will to save his love in the second. We were left to wonder how LucasArts were going to deliver our next adventure. as Starkiller isn't in the original trilogy, and would either have to be killed off, or at the very least have an ending that changed the outcomes that brought us the original trilogy of the films to begin with. It was a very exciting time, but sadly, as I mentioned earlier, Disney's buyout cancelled all production, and all the speculation that would come from the third game was lost. Character customization. What? But Crafty, you just said we have a pre-selected character named Starkiller. Yeah, you do. But if you wanted to roleplay at the same time, you could change your costume and your lightsaber at any time and be whoever you wanted that was available to you in the game. Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, Stormtroopers, Jango Fett. You guys get the idea. This was an awesome gimmick that truly gave fans that little bit extra of role-playing for a different Star Wars universe, and was improved on through DLC packs between both titles, featuring even more costumes to choose from. One feature I'd like to bring forward is the idea of multiplayer. In a franchise such as this that builds up to epic final confrontation moments of lightsaber to lightsaber combat, one couldn't help but dream of it finally happening in a multiplayer mode. In recent years especially, we have seen a rise in well-designed medieval combat multiplayer games, such as the Dark Souls series, for example. With these titles existing, it allows us to realize that an arena set up for a one-to-one combat at least would be very exciting in a game that utilizes so many different combinations and combat scenarios. RPG elements already present would allow developers to give you the freedom to customize your PvP Jedi or Sith to how your playstyle is preferred, giving unique encounters online every time. With this idea and all of the features that already exist that could be expanded on and improved, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 3 would stand to possibly be one of the best Star Wars games to exist if executed properly. To conclude on this topic, another major reason The Force Unleashed should have a sequel is in its DLC. In these expansions, you get to play through mini campaigns on what would have happened if you had chosen the dark side ending instead. In the original title, this led you on adventures through Tatooine, which would see you bring about the end of old Ben Kenobi, while tracking C-3PO and R2-D2. You would also explore the Jedi Temple, which took place while still Vader's apprentice, giving you the opportunity to explore a post-Order 66 area and see the destruction that took place in this once peaceful home to the galaxy's peacekeepers. And finally, you're on Hoth, as AT-ATs are storming the rebel base, with you slaughtering your way to eventually find Luke trying desperately to save Han and Leia so they can take off. Through The Force Unleashed 2, you're put on Endor fighting Han and Chewie after they've claimed the Chicken Walker, and eventually a Jedi Princess Leia, as you evidently killed Luke Skywalker beforehand. These DLCs, although short and sometimes frustrating in certain instances, were always a blast to play through, giving you a scratch to that itch on what happened after you gave in to your hate and chose the way of the Sith at the end. So what do you guys think? Should The Force Unleashed be given a third title to wrap it all up, to be brought to our current generation? Or is the past best left where it is, for only new experiences to come forward in the future? Make sure to let me know in the comments. As well, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, as there is more to come very soon. This is Crafty signing off, and I'll see you guys at the next Crafty video. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Strong, Skywalker, but only your hatred will give you the power to save your friends. Give in to the dark side.